I had a completely different direction that I wanted to take this YouTube channel today, and I wanted to share with you something autograph related that came in, and something that I thought was kind of interesting, and I decided to create something related to this. So when I was at Target and I needed to use up a gift card, I saw a couple DVDs of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You're all familiar with that. Some of you have grown up watching that. The first episode, as we know it, or the modern version, started in 1968, and each series began with the beginning of the model set in the beginning of the show and the ending of the show. And I just remember when I was a kid noticing some little subtle differences between each one of them, and I wanted to show you those. So all of you guys are familiar with this first image here, which is Mr. Rogers' house right there. With the little porch off to the side and the stop sign in the front, and that changed a little bit over the years, that house. The next image I wanted to show is from the black and white series, and in the old days they had NET building on the train set, or the model set, and the NET building stood for National Educational Television, and that was what would become PBS eventually. You can see the roof there with a little antenna there. And that building changes throughout the years on the set. So the next one here, or one of the next ones here, I'm not exactly sure in which order they go. There's one here, a colorized version of NET, with the big NET and the letters in black around the NE and the T, which is kind of interesting. Show you that one right there. Then the next one we'll have here is this NET building, where the letters are in white, and they look like they're painted directly on the building with the same type of antenna, more or less, and the same similar roof style, with a little some sort of fence and plants in the foreground there, on the bottom there. Then the next one we have for you is yet another NET picture here. And this one here is dated 1969. Now if you look at this is white, but look at the letters there. They've got shading or shadowing behind it. I think these were individually applied letters with some spacing behind them, which is kind of interesting. I'm not exactly sure on that, but it looks different than the other NET. And this one's dated 1969. I can find it here. It will not be the NET building. It will actually be just after the NET building, and I believe it is this one. I think it's this one, 1970, National Educational Television and Radio Center. Now this is the same exact roof style as the NET building, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it's got a yellow. It's still got a little fence there. It's got that little yellow cottage off to the side there. And it's got one large window, but it's got the same exact roof line that had NET on it from before. So that's kind of neat. The next one we'll have here will be the same building, but if you notice, they put an antenna behind the building. So that's a little different. So they changed up the layout a little bit here. Maybe some of the plants have changed. So that's really pretty neat here. And then we go to more or less to today. And this will be more familiar. We've got a red building, 1971, Family Communications Incorporated. So that's when it stopped becoming NET, and Family Communications is what Mr. Rogers' his production company was. So that's kind of neat. But look at this very basic building, but yet it still has the same roof line as the NET building. But then we have another one here, another variation of that building, and we got a whole bunch of windows with the exact same roof line. We got a whole bunch of quickly made windows there. So very interesting, another red brick building. This is also 1971 Family Communications, so the same year. And yet we have another building right here. This one's dated 74 and 75. And from the research I've done on this building, I believe these were model train kits you could build, and somebody made one of these buildings on a on the internet posted, there's a couple of people that have made the red brick buildings, and this was done with, I think, 2 Atlas model kits, if not mistaken, and then some printing building. I'm not really sure exactly the kit that was built, but so this is dated 74 and 75, and it just says Mr. Rogers Neighborhood on there. And then we have yet another variation of this building here. This one is dated 1979, and this one is a little bit less red, but I think it's the video quality that changed that. And it looks like the roof is more or less the same. Same pattern, same everything. Very interesting as the original NET building. And we'll have one last image for you here for the Mr. Rogers building set here. This one says produced in association with WQED Pittsburgh, and this one here has a skylight added to the building, and some of the surrounding buildings have changed. If you notice, the first NET building, it had that little cottage right next to it, and this one has a little building or store right next to it, a yellow one. It's completely different. Some of the cars have changed. These might be actually cars for model train sets. I do believe that some of the original cars were vintage 1960s Matchbox cars and early 70s Matchbox cars. Actually have some of those that I had laid on my own train set. And the next one I want to show you is an autograph here, and I will come back with the autograph in just a moment and a project that I put together to go with it. And I got an autograph request coming back from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and some of those of you who are into autographs might know who that is. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was based around Pittsburgh, and this is a Pittsburgh legend guitarist. That might even be another clue. This guy is 93 years old, so that's why I wanted to send what I have instead of waiting for a picture through a Snapfish or an Amazon photo order. And it came from none other than this man right here. You guessed it, Handyman Negri, or Joe Negri. He had Negri's music store on the Real People segments of the Mr. Rogers show, and he also had his role as Handyman Negri, or Handy, in the Neighborhood of Make-Believe. And I sent him this, which is very appropriate. This is a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, first day of issue, commemorating Washington's Cruisers flag, historic flag series. The lighting is not going to do this justice at all. But this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, dated 1968. And that's very important because Mr. Rogers, as we know it, started in 1968. To my special friend Henry, all the best always. Joe Handyman Negri, 2020. That's just absolutely amazing. Absolutely very, very cool to have. I do have Betty Aberlin, and I do have Mr. McFeely, and I do have one more request in the works for the Mr. Rogers show. And I would suggest, if anybody wants to write to him, his address is probably on Star Tiger. It's also on Sports Card Forum if you're signed up for that site there. Really neat thing here. Now I've got one more thing to show you related to my video, the earlier part of this video. I'll be back with that in just a second. Okay, I'm going to have to film this way. Hopefully you can see this. This is again the picture of the NET building. And this is my version of the NET building. I used this picture as a model for my model. And you can see the one with the lettering with the dark shadows below it. And I have done the same thing. I have actually put some tape behind the NET and hand cut all these letters and hand painted them. The T, I couldn't get the blue correct at first. This one also has the corresponding antenna on there. And I built this nice and tall because I did not know how far. There's a seam right here. That's because I kind of goofed. And I'm not a model builder or kit builder. The roof is coming loose. I have the roof not glued on just yet. But I just thought that was really cool. As I mentioned before, other people have built the Mr. Rogers look on the internet and type in a red building or brick building Mr. Rogers, and there are a couple of links to people who have actually built those. And I thought this was a fun kit. I just got some paint from the craft store, and I already had some red and yellow paint from high school from many years ago. That was actually still good. I used acrylic paint, and the gray paint here is a combination of two different colors. Hopefully they can see that one there. I did not know how tall this was to make, so I just made it taller, so I can either use it on my HO scale train set or my O gauge train set. A little bit more needs to be done with the T there and securing it a little better. But I follow the roof line. The T is tucked underneath there and tucked underneath here as well. Some of the pictures, the T is above the roof line on the outside and the inside. So I just thought that was a really fun project there. I'll try to zoom back on it there. And there it is next to this one here. I just thought that was a fun little project there, really cool. Something that has never been done before as far as I know. I have the only NET building in existence, unless Mr. Rogers has kept the original ones for their archives. So I think that's a really cool way to end the video. Hope you enjoyed that and got some cool ideas. Maybe you can write to Mr. Negri. I'm going to send him a thank you postcard, and thank you for watching.